Yeah, boy.
Good old Dark Souls. Most remember it as an epic adventure through treacherous swamps and trap-filled castles. It's a journey most RPG lovers have made over the years, but somehow I never tried it myself. After conquering Elden Ring several times and trying a bit of Dark Souls 3, I thought it was time to give this one a go. I mean, press continue makes it look incredibly fun.
Holy moly, dipped in guacamole. With this setup, we can one-shot a boss with a +0 weapon at level 1.
So how hard could it really be? I decided to run with a Dex build because Bleed was pretty darn strong in Elden Ring, and while it's still good here, a lot of bosses are immune to it. So that was fun to find out. Here is the complete story of how I beat Dark Souls Remastered for the first time. Loading in, I needed to choose a class. I had heard the fire bombs were great for killing the first boss, but the Master Key would also be a great item to start with. Luckily, you can run with the Thief and get both items. Plus, you get plenty of dex with that option, which worked out nicely. After breaking out of prison, I killed some unlucky bums and lit the first bonfire. Our good old buddy, the Asylum Demon, is the first boss of the game. Technically, you're supposed to run through a door in the back and avoid this battle at first, but the black firebombs we chose with our class makes short work of him. Let's just firebomb. Noob. This game's easy. Defeating him early grants you the Demon's Great Hammer, which is entirely worthless for this run. After looting the target shield and bandit knife from these ruins, I was given my Estus flasks and escape route from an unfortunate fellow.
I would hate to harm you after death.
What?
So go now.
But not before getting hit with a large ball. Oh my word. After completely lying to myself, I guarantee you I parry every other attack the rest of the run. A large bird picked me up and my trip through the tutorial area is now over.
But one day an undead shall be chosen.
Hello. Finally, at Firelink's shrine, it was now time to loot all the free stuff lying around. It didn't take long for the skeletons to bully me into submission, and I took the plunge into the great unknown. That was bound to happen. Undead Burg was obviously a much better route than the Catacombs, and I quickly combed through the castle, parrying every noob I could find. With another bonfire lit, I found a merchant who I almost never used again. But I did buy a few firebombs because you never know when they could come in handy. Oh, and I went on a mini side quest on my own to invade a Gravelord servant. This feels like a bad idea. Is it that guy? I got this. Easy. I'm only at half health. Only at half health. Don't worry about this, guys. Pew pew. Oh! I don't think I had that. That's the last time I'll be doing that. Soon, I was face to face with a demon. A reasonably doable boss, but not so much with one flask left. Oh. That felt like the perfect time to die, honestly. My pride wiped from existence, I retraced my steps to a Black Knight. And yeah, I beat him first try because, well, I can parry. Literally zero challenge, come on. Behind this obstacle was a blue Tearstone ring, which boosts defense while HP is low. I don't have much, so I'll use it, but I swear it's coming off as soon as we get anything else. And I explored some more for 2 gold pine resin. I'm sure that won't be useful anytime soon. After some annoying deaths, I was back at the demon, and this time, much better prepared. Okay, what's he gonna do here? Holy cow, no kidding. Oh, that attack actually hits, AoE. So the lightning's really getting used to this guy. I don't know if anyone noticed that. Easy. All day. With my first boss down, I headed over to the Sun Bro and praised the sun for an appropriate amount of time, which was then followed by 30 minutes of me attempting to defeat Havel in a 1v1. Not quite as easy as these challenge runners make it look. Okay, now we're doing no damage. Ah! Ew. All about the moves. This is a terrible idea. Come on, dude. I'm just trying to get away. How'd that guy follow me all the way down there? With some very lethal backstabs, I eventually took him down and gained the Havel's Ring, which I almost never took off again. It grants you much more equipment load, and I'm not opposed to wearing some better armor. After smacking some rats and toppling an armored boar, I finally reached the blacksmith, one of the most important NPCs in Dark Souls, as you can upgrade any weapon to make it deal more damage. Or you can not understand how easy souls are to get and refuse to upgrade entirely, like I did. Big mistake on my part. Big mistake. Quickly followed by one of many deaths to these stupid headless golems. They'd suck to fight, and continued to suck throughout the entire game, leading to me rarely even going near them. After reaching the blacksmith, it's usually time for the gargoyles. This is a somewhat challenging boss fight, but I couldn't even get there due to so many cheap deaths. Eventually, I stumbled upon this golden assassin, who I let out because who cares? He gets out anyway, from what I heard. Luckily, I found the elevator shortcut to Firelink Shrine, but it did not help what came next. Oh crap, the second one. No fire is supposed to do a lot of damage, right? Oof, don't dodge forwards. Ah! I was doing good, too. That's what I needed. I needed to get out of there. Okay, he does fire. This guy does melee. Holy crap, I got nailed immediately. What the heck? They like to gang up on you fast, dude. Come on, man. Ain't nothing I can do. As soon as the second gargoyle spews the fire, I think I have to run. There's no area. Bro, with the fire. Is it a ranged? Bro, with the freaking fire, man. Come on, dude. I can't run in this fight. I don't know. It's safe to say this fight took several tries. I really should have gotten an upgraded weapon, but remember I bought those fire bombs earlier. Those turned out to be better than I could have imagined. Thank you for that. No, don't do this to me. Oh, come on. Woo, I kept using my firebombs instead of the heals, bro. I was trying to heal that whole time. I just kept firebombing. With the gargoyles finally taken care of, it was time to ring the first of two bells. Once both are rung, it will open the doors to Sen's fortress. So one more bell to go. But not before kicking this golden jerk off a cliff. And by the way, I really suck at kicking in this game. I never got it to work consistently and don't know what my deal was. Also, this guy grants us an insanely good ring, which we never take off. Leave him alive, and very bad things will happen, so win-win on killing him. You need to quit the game and load back in for the ring to show up. It's called Ring of Favor and Protection, or FAP ring for the Chads out there. It boosts HP, stamina, and load. Taking it off will break the ring, but it's really good. No need to take it off for the rest of the game. At this point, I was able to open a door back in Undead Burg, which leads to the Capra Demon boss. This area was not bad for me, but wow, do dogs suck in every Souls game. While we were getting through this rather nicely, let's talk about weapon options. I wanted to run with a katana because they deal bleed, and I was somewhat familiar with that from Elden Ring, like I said earlier. As it turns out, that undead merchant from earlier that I said I never used again drops the Uchi when you kill him. He also drops a key to free a merchant in this area near the Capra Demon. Again, I missed a major opportunity that meant I needed to explore all of Blighttown for a different katana, which we all know that's not fun, but we'll get to that later. As it stands now, I am using the winged spear, which chat quickly told me was complete trash. But at least it gave me some range. At the end of this area, I opened up a shortcut back to Firelink's Shrine, gaining me another undead merchant as well. With this quick run down, I began my battle with the capra demon. This is already really fun. Wow. Oh, I was alive? I thought I died. Yep, that's how it goes. My second try went a bit better, but getting there with these freaking dogs is rage-inducing to say the least. I think the dogs in this game are worse than any other game I've played so far. They are horrible. I can't even get a hit in right now. I literally can't get a hit in. Freaking dogs, bro. Luckily, I was mildly aware of the best spot for this fight, and the Zwee I looted from the Skelly Boys came in handy. The funny thing about this boss is he is really easy, but the small arena gets you feeling a bit nervous and claustrophobic, which leads to mistimed dodges and loads of damage taken. Also, this guy turns into a regular enemy later, which I was not ready for at all. Oh, I missed. No! I missed again! Boom! This boss has the key to the depths, which is where I promptly headed next. It's more of a maze than anything else, and I'll just show some of the highlights because there isn't much to say, really. I did find the spider shield, though, which blocked 100% physical damage. A noticeable upgrade from my current options. Crap. I believe I've done a wrong turn. Boom, first try, got it. Manatee, I don't know what's down. Oh, I'm dead. I am legend. Just don't say the E word. Yeah, no, I can't now. Get me killed. Ooh, Ring of the Evil Eye. Absorb HP from fallen enemies. Nah, if that ain't good, I don't know what is. With a crap ton of raps dealt with, I finally found the Gaping Dragon. And wow, did I not have an upgraded weapon. With very little damage at hand, I bought some lightning resin from the weirdo merchant in the sewers and went back at it. Unfortunately, I learned the hard way that you don't stand in front of large teeth when battling an inside-out dragon. And with my reserve of resin gone, we were completely out of damage. I would have headed back up to upgrade at this point, but it was so far away, and well, I still had the giant dad weapon. Nope! Here it is, guys. We got this. Oh, wait. Booyah! This boss took forever with my current weapons, and no, it was not worth it at all, because, he dropped the key to Blighttown. And as it turns out, this entrance to Blighttown is the worst thing I've seen since insert bad movie here. Guess you'll have to finish that reference yourself, but let's just say this entrance to Blighttown with a +2 spear is literally hell. I mean, this took over 2 hours of brutally slow combat, killing enemies in 6 hits. Eventually, I looted everything here and found my way down to the bonfire. Not before finally getting my hands on the Iato, I think it's called. A katana I used for most of the game after this point. But guess what? I need 20 decks to use it, and I only have 16. I hate my inability to upgrade this build properly. With poison water everywhere and my sadness deepened after getting smashed with rocks, it was time to enter the domain of Nice Chest Lady. Or Quelaag, Spider Mommy even, I don't know, whatever you want to call her. And she blew me pretty hard. Blew me up, I mean. I like this lava attack. Give me a good opening. Obviously, this fight was never going to happen in my current state, so I left Blighttown taking the other exit, which was hardly a challenge at all. Chat really hosed me on this one because the entrance to Blighttown I took was just horrible in every way. I leveled my katana to +3, but still needed a bit more dex to wield it. Unfortunately, that would have to wait, as I had to end the stream and go complain about Blighttown some more. With some more energy and a game plan, I came back to Dark Souls just 2 days later. Two things were clear to me at this point. I needed to get more stats to use my katana, and it might be a good idea to explore somewhere else for the time being. After remembering that there was a forest behind the blacksmith, I promptly entered and cut down the weeds that tried to whack me. One excellent feature of this game is the enemy variety. To most, this is not surprising, but the forest has an area where these massive stone knights rise and try to strike you down. They attack pretty slowly, so it's not hard to take them on, but they do something interesting. Let them cast a bit of magic, and you will be majorly encumbered and move much more slowly. I think it prevents you from dodging as well, or at least it makes it hard to do so. They're in a very small section of the game, so it was neat to see some love put into even the less important areas. Moonlight Butterfly was up next, and I oddly had a bit of trouble with her. You can't deal any damage until she perches on the bridge. In the meantime, she peppers you with magic moonbeams. I tried blocking with a shield, that was not working at all, and dodging seems kind of hard to do as well. Turns out if you dodge left and then right, or back and forth every time, it's much harder for her to hit you. But I still died once or twice figuring this out. I feel like it's kind of long for no reason. Alright, I can kill her. Hey! Up in the tower here, you can grab the Watchtower Basement Key and Divine Ember, both of which will help me progress further in the game, as I was able to upgrade my katana to +6. After upgrading, I remembered that Havel had a door behind him that I never ended up checking out. So I ran all the way back to Undead Burg to find a nice bonfire protected by a Black Knight. While I'm taking out this knight, I want to make note of something. The Grass Crest shield can be looted on a ledge here, and I did indeed grab it. This shield boosts stamina recovery, even if you place it on your back. However, I got a bit distracted by the knight and completely forgot to check the shield. Ends up, I beat the majority of the game not equipping this thing, while chat kept telling me I should have grabbed it. I actually had it the entire time, but never got the perk of using it. I think this is, the fourth major mistake I made? Really made this hard on myself, didn't I? Near this bonfire, there's also a Hydra. You can't get near him because you fall to the center of the earth. Gosh freaking darn it, bro. But after he attacks, there is a window where you can slowly chop at his heads. Figuring this out took a bit, as two of the heads are very difficult to reach. But after finishing the beast off, I was granted the Dusk Crown Ring. It halves HP for extra magic castings. Decent fight for a bit of souls, but since I'm not using magic, this was so very, very useful, you know? I now went back to the blacksmith to buy the Kite Shield, a classic that is useful for the rest of the game. During this whole stall to avoid Blighttown, I went over to where the Sunbro was earlier and tried to shoot the dragon's tail off. This was so I could get the bonfire underneath him and check out the claymore I never ended up using. I bring it up because, look at this. I couldn't even aim the dumb bow. Yes, I played Elden Ring and still had no idea how to aim a bow when it works basically the same way. Kind of a brain-dead moment that I needed to call myself out on. With all my fooling around done, I headed back to the easy entrance to Blighttown and wrecked everything. Turns out when you have a +6 weapon, the game is fun and doesn't feel so painful. Plus, this entrance is way better. I don't know how many times I've mentioned it, but it's still not enough. Maneater Mildred got parried out of this world, and then it was time for Quelaag once again. As long as I dual-wield the katana, my damage is pretty solid, or at least enough here. But I quickly learned to look around for the blast attack that blows you away. Yay! Let's go! With Spider Mommy down, it was time to ring the second bell and talk to Spider Mommy 2.0 behind a hidden wall. I upgraded my pyromancy flame here from the egg sack guy, although I rarely use this, but I thought it was pretty fun to mess around with. Down in hell, I grabbed the clothes laying on an altar and quickly got walloped by ceaseless discharge. A massive fire boss that's supposed to be easy free souls, but I was clueless on how the fight worked. Chat valiantly tried to help me figure out the trick where he dies off the edge in this arena at almost full HP, but I never got it to work. So instead, he hit the ground over and over and I slowly cut him up. It worked and I won the fight, so in the end a win's a win. I'll take it. At this point, I'm blocked off from going further by a barrier, so I headed back to the blacksmith where Sen's fortress, was waiting. And yeah, I'll let the footage speak for itself. Oh, I'm gonna die. Yeah, go figure, dude. How do I get through there? I don't understand. I don't know how to dodge that. Am I dodging too early or something? Just kill me. Just kill me. Just freaking die. That's how done I am with that run. I got smacked around by a lot of balls, and those snake guys hated my guts. I talked to the Onion Man a bit and freed a sorcerer, but don't expect much else from their story, because I sort of missed the rest of it. I found a bonfire on top of the fortress here, which would be really hard to find without player messages, and next came Iron Golem. This is another fight where you can hit him several times and then push him off the edge, ending the fight rather quickly. Since I was so focused on not dying, however, I just fought him regularly. It took a while, and I got beat to a pulp the first time, but eventually, he went down. Boom! Woo! With nowhere else to go, I was lifted off my feet by some not-so-handsome creatures and escorted to the majestic area that is Anor Londo. Anor Londo is definitely one of the most beautiful areas in Dark Souls. Everything is filled with sunlight, and the castle itself is massive. Unfortunately, the enemies here are also massive, and most hit like a truck. I really dislike massive slow attacks. With bleed on my side and a bow for aggro, things were going my way. That is until I met my first mimic. Brutally eaten by a chest. Not really the best way to go out. After some sweet revenge, I was dropped the Crystal Halberd, which went mostly unused. With an easy gargoyle kill, I scaled the building and entered a window. Crawled across some rafters and turned a giant staircase. The next area did take me a bit, as I had to defeat many enemies and avoid gravity once more. Oh, there's two of them. Crap. That seems appropriate. There were some new knights, flying demons, and another mimic, but in the end I had found Havel's armor set and began preparing for Ornstein and Smo. Which just meant finding the giant blacksmith and upgrading my katana to +10. I felt my power level increased exponentially, but trust me, the confidence level did not last long. With 2 bosses to deal with, I died several times before figuring out a decent strategy, and even then, I got destroyed in seconds after finally getting to second phase. This was a rough time indeed. What do you do with that? Like, do you have to see it coming and run away, probably? Probably. Fire seems to do nothing because it's not hitting him. One hit, really? That's what we're gonna do? In the end, I focused on Ornstein in the first phase because Smo seemed easier in the second. After getting a little better at the movesets and mostly running around a lot, the fight was over and I emerged victorious. Yeah, he's definitely way easier, but... we gotta be careful. Get greedy. Woo! This boss fight is definitely a highlight of Dark Souls, as it's one of the harder fights with more focus on good dodging. It was epic, and felt really good to finish up. Plus, I was rewarded with a really nice chest afterwards. Now, can I, like, get a better view right here? Here we go. Is that better? Oh, and the Lord Vessel was nice too, I guess. With the ability to fast travel between bonfires unlocked, I headed back to Firelink and talked to the long-necked dude that was just hanging out there. I don't even know what you would call this type of creature, but my first thought was to let him eat me, and he took me underground where I could place the vessel and unlock some golden gates. Which now means 4 major bosses need to be defeated to access the final boss. Wow, this game is long. With little clue on what to do, I became an egg and went back to the starting area of the game. The stray demon needed a good smackdown, and I guess this doll here opens the way for something later. It's the Painted World, which I thought was a DLC the whole time, but turns out is just the first area they made when creating the game. But we won't be heading there quite yet. Unfortunately, I once again decided to listen to chat, and they took me through the catacombs. The dark, skeleton-filled catacombs. Man, this area is a mess to get through. Luckily, I did have a divine club at this point, so they wouldn't put themselves back together, but it was still awful. Got stabbed a few times, avoided floating skulls, and met another blacksmith who just wanted me to leave. Fun cutscene, though. Oh, is he a good guy? Nice.
You spoil my focus.
Of course, this area has the wheelie skeletons, and yeah, they're not very fun. You hear stories of bad things in these Souls games, but it's always way worse in person. Always way worse. Fortunately, Pinwheel is our next major foe, and he's the major pushover. Supposedly, he has some really sad lore associated with him, but if we go down that rabbit hole, you can never come back. The Dark Souls series is full of tragic stories, let's just leave it at that. He drops the Rite of Kindling, which I guess gives me more heals if I want to use them, so yay me. Tomb of Giants soon made an appearance, and I didn't have too bad of a time navigating, but the enemies really suck to fight. These were the one mobs in the game that I actively avoided like the plague. Patches made his appearance, and of course he's up to his wily ways. Was rude.
This is what I do, my friend. The trinkets I'll be stripping off your corpse, that's the real treasure.
I talked to a good old waifu real quick as 2 chunky boys tried to jump me. They forgot I was a master of the glorious parry and were immediately defeated. Thankfully, I went back up to Patches to confront him and found the bonfire right behind that area. I cannot imagine doing this boss run without that bonfire. Here I found the Skelly Dogs though, and with the Black Knight helping them, I stood no chance whatsoever. After many deaths, I finally got the knight and decided to just book it. Grave Lord Nito, the Skeleton Lord of Death. Can we talk about how you have to take a lot of damage just to enter the arena? And then you're forced to fight multiple skeletons while dodging massive blades from Nito. And don't even think about going to the back of that arena. Larger skeletons will aggro if you even head that way. And I never figured out the dark AoE attack from the boss himself, which meant I ate flasks like candy. After several tries with very little progress, I decided to call it a night and come back at it later with a fresh mindset. So there I was, several days later, ready to stream again and dreading the grind of beating Nito. That is, until I got in and beat him first try. My damage was very poor, but my perseverance was high, and with a divine weapon on the skeletons, I was able to focus on dodging the big guy's attacks and taking all the heals I needed. It was kinda crazy after the pain I had last time, but I took the win with a triumphant smile. With Nito dead, I still didn't have much of a plan, so I went back to the area where the Hydra used to be and unlocked the DLC. No, I was not ready to enter yet at all, but it got the ball rolling and gave me time to think. Which also led me to this hidden ladder. Up I went, and what do you know? The most depressing fight in all of Dark Souls. I don't know what these people were thinking about when they worked on this game, but taking the life of a good heckin' puppy is not my idea of a good time. And the DLC just rubs it in as you get help from the good dog in a boss fight, which is a bit confusing, but essentially you go back in time and get to fight alongside Sif in a much smaller form. But no, you need to finish this loyal animal off even after it starts limping around. Yay, we won, I guess. Whoa! Okay. Let's heal up here. That's just sad. That was just like super depressing. With a major depression, we settle on having gained the Covenant of Artorias, which lets us traverse the Abyss, and the Hornet Ring, which I didn't even check. Don't need to change rings, so didn't matter anyway. I messed around in the forest for a bit, collecting lightning resin for the DLC, and joining the Cat Covenant for no real reason at all. Creepy cat though, geez. With that lovely fast travel, I headed to Hell, and made my way past many demonic creatures. The barrier that once blocked me here is gone, and while I'd like to think it was keeping this awful stuff down here, we need to reach Bed of Chaos, so here we go. The enemies here don't really matter, and I ended up either skipping them or easily killing them, so let's move on to Demon Fire Sage. We already fought this same model twice now, so it's an easy win, but watch out, he's on fire now. Ooh. Just a fun fight to get our confidence up. Okay. Well, that was underwhelming. Then came Centipede Demon right after this, and I thought this was a fun fight. Not overly difficult with how it worked, and avoiding the lava is obviously a must. With this victory, we gain the orange charred ring, which massively reduces lava damage, which you need to walk in lava and grab items. Also, it's required to get to the next fight, so yeah, we had to take off Havels for a bit. After eons of walking and avoiding the bottom half of dragons, I guess, I finally made it to Bed of Chaos. Now, I've seen Little Aggie clear this once or twice, if you know who that is, so I was mildly aware that you need to destroy the orange orb areas and then kill a bug in the middle. Usually the speedrunners will do it with firebombs or something like that, but we didn't have that option here, because I don't know how to do it. After some major luck, I managed to open up the pathway to the bug, but my luck quickly ended and several complaints about gravity came about for unknown reasons. Feels accurate. Eventually, I just dropped down and made it through, defeating the perfectly adequate boss that is Bed of Chaos. I can see why people hate this one, honestly. I also forgot to mention that during all this, I went and found Infected Sunbro. Without much look into the quest, I had no idea how to save him, and yeah, Solaire had to get got. Another very sad fight. You get the Sunbro armor, but after what we just did, it's kind of a major bummer, so let's just move on. With 2 of the 4 major bosses down, it was now time for Seath the Crystal Dragon. But I had a bit of trouble remembering where the stairs were that went where the barrier had been, so instead I messed around with the staircase, killed the nice chest, fought several warriors who hate me, and turned everything dark. Not really what I had in mind, but I was not going back to the stupid catacombs and looking for some dumb ring, so the nice chest had to go. Sorry guys. It was funny how easy these NPC enemies were, as all of them were parried instantly. We do get a Firekeeper soul to upgrade our flasks at least, which is a nice turn of events. At the bottom of the stairs elevator was an additional boss fight, Dark Sun Gwendolyn. After getting absolutely demolished in one hit, I realized there was no room for error. Run from pillar to pillar as you get close to her, and then swing as fast as you can. Repeat until the fight has been won. Honestly, it was pretty easy, but fun at the same time. I enjoyed the hallway idea here quite a bit. Easy peasy, bro.
Heretic, swathed in dark.
Behind this boss was the brass armor and sunlight blade miracle. Apparently this is a super strong faith item, but I had no faith, so ultimately this was not all that useful. I learned the hard way that I had removed the main bonfire in Anor Londo from existence, so it didn't exactly work properly. Didn't really matter though, because just around the corner was basically Seath's library. And this is where my time in Dark Souls skyrocketed, as this is a large area and I got lost for probably 30 minutes at one point. Also, the crystal enemies here are a pain in the butt, dude, and deal a lot of damage. They have this shoulder charge thing they do, and it angered me every time it happened. After a lot of fighting, I found an elevator and made my way up to a crystal cave. There was this crystal-infected knight here, of sorts, and while he does do a ton of damage, I promptly beat him into the ground. The parry's a bit too strong in this game, not gonna lie. After equipping the Ring of Sacrifice so I didn't lose any souls, I entered the fight with Seath. This fight is actually impossible to win, which I learned shortly after being thrown into a prison cell.
Was I on the wrong side? Oh, interesting. You can't even beat him the first time.
The snake here is conveniently leaning against my cell, though, and one hit grants me the escape key. This whole part of the game is S tier. It isn't just another boss fight, but rather a story of you conquering an impossible enemy. Now, this frustrating snake here let loose some dragon babies. I'm not really sure what these tentacle monsters are, as it's the only time you see them, but their grab attack is not fun. In fact, this tower kinda sucked, as you're forced to fight several snakes at the same time, and they love to gang up on you. After way more deaths than I'd like to admit, I found the archive door key, which frees me from this accursed prison. Back in the library, we find ourselves in my most hated area in Dark Souls. Your goal here is to find a bonfire, which is behind the elevator we used to fight Seath. These stairways can be turned to reach different levels, and crystal enemies line the walls in numbers. After the bonfire, you need to look for a ladder that goes down to open a secret wall. I could not find this stupid ladder for over 30 minutes. I combed every level, killed each crystal golem, and broke loads of tables. This started to tick me off pretty quickly as I just couldn't move on. As it turns out, the one and only stairwell I never rotated was the one that led to the ladder. The one single stairwell that I never messed with because I thought I'd already been there was where I was supposed to go. You could easily get through this library after playing even once, probably skipping most of the enemies, but the first time was wild. I was pretty darn happy after finding the next path, is all I'll tell you. Through this secret door was the Iron Pineapple set and a Mimic, which granted me the symbol of Avarice, or Mimic Head. It depletes your health while wearing it, but still pretty cool to get dropped. I also found the key to the cell back in the prison area, which you can use to free the wizard guy. Never ended up doing that though. I was kind of a jerk to the NPCs on this run, which was not intentional, but that's the way it worked out. We're still trying to take on Seath, by the way, and in order to do that, we must make our way through the Crystal Cave. This area is filled with butterflies you don't want to touch, and golems that get in your way. Eventually, I found the invisible paths needed to make my way down to the bottom. And here's where I found Seath, a massive dragon who used crystal magic to become immortal and gain more power. Need to give a dragon something unique here, as he slides across the room rather than flying or crawling. You're not able to deal any damage whatsoever to this boss at first, which was pretty confusing. I mean, I did all this work to die by him, escape prison, and come back through his hideout just to deal no damage? But hitting the magical glowing thing in the back of the room breaks his immortality. I was wondering what that did. After running from crystals and drinking several heals, I managed to topple the crystal dragon and defeat the third major boss. Get out of here. About time we go find the four kings and end this thing. Crap, I forgot we still have the DLC to do. New Londo Ruins is found under Firelink Shrine. That's right, the last boss I needed to defeat for the end of the game is under the main area. Kind of ironic, isn't it? This massive wasteland has a Firekeeper soul for upgrading our flasks right near the beginning, which you can grab as soon as you reach Firelink. That could have been useful, I don't know, maybe the entire game. As for this dark ruins, it's filled to the brim with ghosts. They're impervious to damage and kill you quickly. That is, unless you use these items called Transient Curse, which helps you take less damage and be able to hit the ghosts. I ended up throwing on Havel's armor for the tankiest defense and bum rushing all of them. Eventually, I found an old man just sort of standing here. He says he guards the four kings, but then immediately hands over the key that we need to kill them. What a terrible guard. The key lets me turn a lever which opened the floodgates and emptied the place of its water. And honestly, this was a mistake, because this place had looked way better with the water. Death and high damage knights cover the place, making it very hard to find your way. I walked around for a while and didn't really get anywhere except for collecting various items. So I bowed out and made the long journey to the giant blacksmith in Anor Londo, in order to upgrade my weapon to a plus 13. Sadly, this was a waste of time, as he sells large Titanite shards and not the chunks I needed to get the katana to plus 15. Back to the death ruins, I guess. Through this area, I just wore Havel's armor. It was good for it, and I needed it for the boss anyway, so why take it off? Eventually, I stumbled upon the boss entrance and threw on the ring that Seath dropped, so I can be in this fight at all, I guess. Because I had that lightning resin from earlier and Havel's armor on, I swiftly defeated this boss. It's a really cool idea of a fight that would definitely be much harder if you did any lower damage. With the 4 major bosses down, I could officially take on the last boss and beat the game. But like I said, there's still the DLC, and the painted world, of course. The DLC was awesome. You go back behind where the Hydra was and get grabbed into a black hole by Manus. Essentially the father of the Abyss, or Darkness, that kind of pops up in the rest of the series, Souls 2 and 3. Once inside, you fight your way through hordes of enemies in a very cool dark abyss where you find the smaller Seath. It's not really worth going over this area. I mean, there's plenty to explore, but it's kind of small. So I'll just cover the bosses. You immediately run up against the Sanctuary Guardian, and while his attacks are quite simple, they were really hard to dodge at first. This Chimera takes a lot of damage, but you really need to be patient and wait for the bigger attacks that give you more time to hit him. I died several times, and then the moves just clicked for whatever reason. Knight Artorias is up next, and he was pretty important to this run. He killed me a lot. He's a much faster boss than anything in the main game, and this one stab attack he does just kept getting me. Not to mention he buffs himself, and for a while I couldn't stop him from doing this, which left me dead instantly. I'd probably say this is one of the best bosses in the game to beat, as it's extremely satisfying. Yes! And let's go! Now, after Knight Artorias died, I got a major upgrade. From what I was told, there's not many great dex weapons in Dark Souls, especially compared to strength weapons. But if you give the soul of Knight Artorias to this lady that cries at his grave, you get 2 really powerful dex weapons. The Gold Tracer and Dark Silver Tracer. You can use both, but I didn't really get much out of it, so instead I chose to fully upgrade the Gold Tracer and use it the rest of the game. It swings so quickly and still applies bleed at a great rate. It was way better than the katana, and only needing 5 upgrades to be max level made it an obvious choice. This was awesome, one of my favorite weapons I saw in the game. After a 2-day break, I hopped back in and cleared out the rest of the DLC. Manus gave me some issues as he has massive AoE attacks and is another fast boss you don't see often in the base game. I tried summoning Seath, but the sign is too hard to find honestly, and you have to do it mid-fight. I died a couple of times, but once I learned that the forward arm slam can be dodged by moving forward, it was easy. Oh, and I grabbed an amulet from a secret room which lets you deflect his dark magic, which is super useful and another great mechanic I loved. Mechanically, I think this is the best boss in the game. It's a challenge for sure, but very fair. Woo! That's what I'm talking about, dude. Calamite was the only boss left here, and I could lead the DLC. His arena is actually before Knight Artorias, although you need to speak to the giant and get him to shoot the dragon down first. If you don't do this, you'll have this happen. Okay. Just gonna do something, right? Gotcha. Okay. I knew that was coming. Hail Meat was pretty hard. It's a dragon fight, so yeah, no duh, it's going to be at least challenging. The eye grab attack that debuffs you was particularly annoying until I learned dodging in between his feet nullified this entirely. I was not able to cut his tail off, as some of these dragons, it's just a pain to do. But with tons of patience and not getting greedy, I eventually defeated the Great Black Dragon. Woo! Oh, yes! Oh, when I went back to the beginning area to tell the Mushroom Elizabeth that I saved the girl or whatever. Plus, slayed 2 more Chimera monsters that showed up and felt a bit overpowered there. It was welcome. With 2 fully upgraded weapons and being past the DLC, I figured we were good to go at this point. After all, the Dark Souls series usually leaves the hardest content in the DLC areas. After combing through the enemies in Anor Londo for a 3rd time, I touched something I shouldn't have, as is usual by now. Ever touch it. Inside the painted world was one castle or fort I needed to go through. The enemies here were still unique, and at times very frustrating, but it was one of the more enjoyable places to explore. The snow and numerous paths made for a neat environment. I did get eaten by a dragon, but saw that one coming. Also, these blob guys were scary and kind of fun, I guess. And if Elden Ring taught me anything, it's that you always jump into open wells, right? Eventually, I made my way to Crossbreed Priscilla, and you might notice me using the Grass Crest Shield. This is when I finally realized I had grabbed it at the beginning of the game. So made use of it for 2 bosses. Priscilla is completely invisible, but what she forgot about is she's walking in snow. After a bit more goofing off, I finally headed back to the Lord Vessel and turned in those 4 souls for the final boss. I got some awesome Black Knight armor while parrying some more losers and went head to head with Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. It's a more anticlimactic ending, mostly because parrying him is easy, and the DLC over-prepares you a bit for this. But it felt good to finish the game. Dark Souls was way better than I expected. I'd watched people like Lil Aggie, Press Continue, and the Backlogs bully the game with any number of goofy tactics. Only firebombs, Souls level 1, and everything is Ornstein and Smo. But watching someone play parts of the game is nothing compared to jumping in yourself. I had no idea where to go multiple times, and exploring the unique environments with massive variety of enemies was beyond imaginable. I did make the beginning of this journey much harder on myself by not upgrading a weapon. Those Titanite shards can be bought from the blacksmith after all, so there's no reason not to just use them. But that's the way it goes when you're a noob. I did miss at least one area though. I found out later there's a massive tree location with a Hydra, I guess, but it was under Blighttown with loads of poison water, and I never thought to head back there. This is truly one of the greatest games ever made, and such a fantastic experience. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed me bumbling around the classic Souls experience everyone knows and loves. I'll be playing this game again to hopefully do some of the NPC quests. I feel a bit bad for leaving them out to dry like I did. Let me know what you thought of this run down in the comments, and I will see you next time.